I'm Sonia Showalter, and today we're going to talk about the fairy tale crowns. We have two versions or two sizes, and they're similar in design, but they're not the same. So
They're having a hard time hearing you for some reason.
oh, can you go see on the computer? See if okay. We're gonna pause for a second. Gary says some of you are having trouble hearing us, so he's going to go check us out on the computer and see how that's coming through. I wonder, I think my phone is still silenced from church. Would that be an issue? So bear with us. Our air conditioner had reset itself while we were gone, and it was up to 80 something degrees in here. So, and then with the lights on for the video, if you see me sweating, dripping sweat, it's not because I'm nervous. I don't tend to get nervous with these live videos, but it can get hot under these lights.
Mine's fine.
It's coming through okay? Oh, maybe you just need to turn up your sound on your computer. Your volume, just look for that across the bottom somewhere. It could be, it's just turned down. So at least Gary has checked it out and he says the sound is coming through fine.
So several others say it's fine too.
Oh, okay, good. So if you're having trouble hearing me, turn up the volume on your computer because this is coming through okay for everybody else. So it must be that. Okay, I'm gonna backtrack just a little so we have a clean video when it's time to upload it to YouTube. I can hear us on the computer. Thank you. All right. I am Sonia Showalter once again, and today we're going to talk about the fairy tale crowns. We have the two versions of the fairy tale crown. One fits children, and the other one, the larger one, will fit a full-grown adult. And I mentioned earlier, it even fits Gary. So there you go. What I'm going to go over, and I'm not going to do a step-by-step here. I think the directions are really, it comes with images in the directions to explain how each piece goes together, how they overlap. I will talk about that, but it's not going to be okay, now do this, and then next do this. So this is going to be an overview, and I will answer your questions. If you have questions, I'll try and cover those. But I'm going to try and cover some of the most common questions I get. And but be assured that each of the crowns does come with complete written instructions and images to go with those directions. So it's a PDF file and you'll find everything there. All right, so obviously the first thing you're going to do is stitch out the pieces. And each piece, I think the smaller crown comes with 5 individual files, and you stitch out each piece and then the 5 pieces will come together to complete the crown. So, and the same thing with the larger crown, except that it has 6 pieces instead of 5 pieces. And I think that's correct, yes. So these are some of the sample pieces that I stitched up. I didn't get them all made. We got discombobulated this summer with a house full of grandkids, but I have enough to show you here. This is the front piece of the adult size crown, and they are similar in design, but they're also very different when you start to really look all the way around. They really are very different. So the pieces are stitched individually in a 4x4 hoops. That way everybody can stitch these crowns. Now when you rinse the stabilizer away, and I also want to mention that we have videos, 2 very good videos on how to stitch lace properly. So if you're new to this, be sure and watch those, and I even recommend watching them anyway, because I think sometimes we get used to doing things a certain way and don't realize that, hey, I could probably get a better result if I do it this way instead of that way. Sometimes we are victims of handed down information that may not have been accurate, or maybe times have changed and things are being done a little bit differently. But take a look at those videos and then you'll be properly prepared to stitch out lace to the most high quality possible for my lace anyway. Alright, so you stitch the pieces out and you rinse away the water soluble stabilizer that they were stitched on, called Vilene, which I get from allstitch.com. They're fantastic people, and I've always gotten my Vilene from them, and my other stabilizers actually, my Tearaway and all those. Okay, so I regress. You stitch out all your pieces. Now, I literally just rinsed away the excess stabilizer from these two pieces. Okay? And what I instruct is to not lay these flat to dry, because it's going to cause, it won't give you a pretty curve when it's time to put your lace together, because this will get stiff. Once it's dry, it's kind of stiff, and it's hard to make it shape it in the direction that you want once it's dried completely flat. So here's what I recommend, and this is not rocket science. We're not sending men into space and risking their lives, okay? This is a organic lentil soup can, okay? There's nothing magical about this can. It's just, it'll suit the purpose, okay? It's 14 and a half ounces, 14 and a half ounces. It can be a 16-ounce can. If you go too little, it's not gonna hurt anything. The whole idea is to put a curve in those pieces, okay? And it's not gonna be, if you can see the curve on these pieces, just the one piece, it's not a big mountain type of curve. It's just a gentle curve. But you don't want to go too big, because you want to have more curve than necessary, is what I'm trying to say. So, because you can always go this way, it's harder to make it go inward or curve inward. So I recommend something about like this. Like I said, it's not a science if you go a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, but these, these are, everybody has these in their pantry. Could be a can of green beans or whatever. All right, those are perfect. All right, so all you do is, while it's still wet, I shape it to the can, and it may fight. Now, I've blotted this and it's been a little while since I did it. It's still wet, but the quicker you can do it after you rinse it, the easier it'll be to make it drape. It's not going to shape exactly to the shape of your can. So what I do is I go ahead and bend it right now, because it's wanting to resist what I'm doing a little bit. So I just use my fingers to put a little more bend in it. And that's probably more like what I want. And then just, press it to the can. And even in my directions where there's a picture of these, they're not perfectly shaped to the can, but the can will hold that shape for me. And that's as much curve as I need. It's a little bit more curve than I need, which is perfect. And then the top of the crown, I like to turn these outwards just a little, so that they're not flat. But you might like it flat. I like it to have a little bit more, it adds a little more drama, I think, when the tips curve outward. All right? And then all you do is get yourself 4 or 5 more cans, and you let them all dry like this. You just set them aside and let them dry completely. As they're drying, you can come along and think, oh, it's gonna let me bend it just a little more. You can add a little more bend to it. But even if it dried just like this, that's enough curve for what we're trying to do here. So that's the way they are dried. Okay? Okay, every piece needs to have that shape. Okay, once it's dry, this one's dry, it will hold that for you, okay? So, here's what I recommend for gluing together. This is what I use for all kinds of lace projects when I need to glue it. Fabri-Tac glue. There's also an off-brand, and I can't remember what it's called, but if there's an off-brand, it'll be sitting there on the shelf next to it. It's just a really thick glue that it flows very slowly, and I love it because it doesn't soak into the threads. It soaks into the top layer and gets very tacky, and it sets almost immediately. So there's no waiting overnight, or it'll hold for you, you know, in an hour or two, it should be done. With a crown, I do leave it overnight just to be safe, but because there might be a little more stress on those seams. But everything else, like putting a little thread on an angel to hang it, and you'll see that in a video called Finishing the Angels. It's just instant. You stick it on and it's done. It's tacky, it dries right away, and it's almost like a glue gun, but without the heat and without the gun. All right. It's also water or washable, that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so that's my recommended glue. And for the structure in the crown, I did not want to do the headband thing. So I realized that I had this boning in my closet. Boning is used to shape like fancy couture dresses, and you know, those bodices with the corset styles, and those you use this kind of thing inside for the structure on the dress. Okay, and it holds the bodice up, keeps it from drooping, and it's used for all kinds of stuff in fancy dressmaking. And I used to make custom wedding gowns, so I used a lot of this. And but I happen to have this in my closet, so I realized this would be perfect to give the crowns the shape they need, because you don't want to just leave the lace pieces glued together. That is not going to form a really pretty crown circle. Okay, you have to have some kind of structure to hold it in that shape, especially children playing with it. Those get squashed and everything. So what I do is I take, the boning is actually like some kind of nylon, thin, flat band inside, and the outside is covered with fabric, because you stitch it into your garment, you need to be able to stitch, you know, the edges down. But what I do is I peel off the fabric, and then you're left with this nylon band that's also kind of wrapped in thread. They've put threads around it, I guess, to keep it from sliding inside the casing. But this is absolutely perfect, so that the smaller crown is 18 inches. And so I have put an 18-inch band inside. And I had originally I put these little pieces of lace I had from my stash, because I thought maybe I could use this for the bobby pins. We didn't end up using it. We just ended up using the comb to hold it in place when our model was wearing it. But you can do whatever. You can put little loops in it, or put combs on the side, or whatever, you know, works for you to hold in place. But the band, I leave the threads on, remove the casing, but I leave the threads on there. And I measured it to 18 inches, because that's what the crown is supposed to measure when it's done. So once I got the band to about 18 inches, I taped it with just regular tape, because I wanted to make sure the crown was going to fit on there properly. And so after I got my pieces all the way around the crown, and it looked like it was going to be a good fit, or if it wasn't the exact fit, then I would adjust the band, take off the tape, adjust it, and then tape it again until it was a perfect fit. So that gives you a much better, more accurate fit and a better shape to the crown if you can get these pieces exactly to fit exactly around your boning. Okay, now the boning, I probably jumped ahead a step, because first of all you do need to glue your pieces together before modeling them around the boning frame. So to glue them together, let me get this out of my way. I had the towel here because I wanted to show you when you rinse away the stabilizer, don't rinse too much. You just want to make sure it's the goo is gone around the edges and there's no big pieces of stabilizer stuck in the little netting and stuff. And then I just take a towel, I fold it over and blot it gently, and then I move it over to my cans to shape it. So that's why my towel was here. I was going to show you how I did that, but I think you get that. All right, so when you have your pieces together, all dried and ready, these pieces are made to overlap a little bit, okay? So this piece has a little bit of netting beyond the design itself. Can you see, Gary? Yeah, okay. So there's a little bit of an edge right here that's meant for the underlap. So the front piece will overlap that a little bit. So I would put the fabric tack glue right here along the edge, and you don't have to go crazy with it because you don't want to have glue showing on the outside. That'll take away from your, heirloom quality. And then I will go ahead and put a little bit of glue on this side too, so I have two tacky edges. And then I overlap. And then I hold them together with, oh, I didn't bring a paper clip. Those black clamp, Gary's gonna go get me one, I'll show you. And there's a photo of this too in your instructions. You can use clothespins, but I noticed those paper clips that they're hard to open. The big ones are really difficult because they're just so tight. Those hold together really well. So when he brings it in, I'll show you. So okay, so if there's a curve here, I've got a crown well on its way. See? So once you have a curved piece to go there, it just goes together so nicely. You just keep adding your pieces and you end up with a curved crown. So here are the little clamps, and they have bigger ones too if you need a bigger one. And I probably recommend the bigger size. I don't remember what my pictures show, and then all you do is once you get your glue in there, you just clamp that edge, and I think I probably did use the little ones, so one on the bottom and then one on this side, and then just let it set and be patient so that it dries completely. And you just go like that all the way around, and when you're all done gluing the pieces, you have a really nice round crown. And then once you have your crown done, closed up, you stick your piece, you put your boning inside. Let me do it on this one because that one is a lot bigger. So I would put the boning on the inside on a tabletop. So I would put it like this. Okay. So my crown is like this, and imagine I don't have the boning in here yet, okay? Or a comb, all right? And then I would put the boning inside, make sure it's inside. See, this one happens to be the right size and the reason I didn't use it is because I think my shape wasn't quite round, and I thought, oh heck, I'll just do another one instead of trying to reshape it. But, so I just put it inside, and if the fit is a little bit, in fact it's a little loose, but this crown is really old, so it may have stretched a little, I don't know. So if the fit is not snug, then release it a little bit, open it up, and then try it again until it's nice and snug. And then you can glue your boning in place. Now the other option too is, I think I've done it both ways, where you close the crown off completely and then put the boning in, or you can get the boning the right size and then just close the crown around it. But I think it's more accurate if you close your crown and then you fit the boning to the crown rather than the crown to the boning. All right. So you'll figure it out. You'll figure out which way you like better. But if you close the crown up, you're good. Just make the boning fit nice and snug, because you want that boning to be the shape, not have it loose and just to have boning in there. The boning needs to be nice and like pushing out against the curves of the crown. So not excessively, just enough so it keeps that nice round shape for a long time. All right, so this crown is the one, not the gold one, but the other one that's on our homepage, on the blonde model, our blonde little model. This crown has been, wow, it's been around for a while. It's been squashed in suitcases. It's been played with. It's been played with with 3 little girls. I've taken it back and forth a lot for photo shoots. I have found it stuffed in their dresser drawer, absolutely squashed, and I have not done anything to this to fix it in any way. It's just the way it's been. It just kind of bounces back. Just fix it like this. I have not, I thought about re-wetting it and stiffening it up again and all that for the video, but I thought, you know, you'd like to see what it looks like after, let's see, how old is this crown? Like 3-4 years? No, maybe longer than that. I can't even remember, but
Beverly wants to know if you can zigzag the pieces together.
I wouldn't recommend that. I think that wouldn't look very pretty, and it's totally unnecessary to do that. I don't actually like lace that's zigzag together. I mean, you can. I guess the technical answer is yes, you can zigzag it together. But I think your fit will start getting being affected, because it was designed to just kind of fit over the top, and if you start adding more stitches, it might pull this and that and make it a little wonky instead of having a really pretty straight edge around the bottom. So yeah, you can put it together. You can put it together with hand stitching, or even if you wanted to, but I designed it so that you wouldn't have to do that at the machine, because I don't like doing that myself. So I thought, well, I need to fix this so that there are people who don't sew, so.
Margaret wants to know what type of glue you use to attach the boning.
Oh, the same, sorry about that. Yes, the same Fabri-Tac glue that I use for everything else. And yeah, you just put it on and just go light with it. You do want to make sure there's glue on the surfaces, but it doesn't take a lot. And once the boning is in place, it's just a matter of, you know, maybe 10 minutes, maybe a little longer, to make sure it doesn't stick to somebody's hair, but to make sure it's dry. But that's about as long as it takes for you to be confident that it's done. And but the boning gives it, I mean, I can't believe this crown. I have found this literally, or as our older granddaughter likes to say, literally. I have found this in our granddaughter's drawer, all squashed, you know, under all her clothes, and it's been played with a lot and been squashed in a suitcase, and there it goes. It just kind of bounces back. It feels a little softer than the new one, than this new lace that's just been recently made, but it's still perfectly good shape. Perfectly good shape. It's not even frayed. The threads are not frayed. The seams are not falling apart. The boning is still secured. It's not coming off anywhere. And like I said, these little tabs are just some little lace tabs I added later to pin it with a bobby pin, and then I never used them. The little flowers are the little florets that you can buy separately, and all you do is stitch those out and go through the whole lace process, and then you can stitch those on. I stitched them on because these were for really young toddler people, and I didn't want somebody to pull off a flower and swallow it, so I tacked them on by hand. I put them on with a little bit of this, and then I sewed a bead on, and these are actual little fresh pearl beads on there, actual fresh pearls that I stuck through the flower, because the flower has a little eyelet center, and you can stitch a bead, and that way you don't have to tack the flower down, you just put the bead through and the bead secures the flower.
Beverly wants to know how many sizes the crown comes in.
It comes in the 2 sizes, and this is the child size, which still fits. This one, I have pictures of our 2-year-old granddaughter, our brand new little model, our newest model. She actually wore this the other day when we did our photo shoot, because I wanted to get pictures of her in it. It fits her so beautifully. And she's putting it on her sister, who's modeling this crown on the cover, on the home page. I've got some pictures of it. It still fits her pretty, but it sits on top. Her older sister. But this one fits really well. It's too big for our 9-year-old granddaughter. It's too big for her. This one still fits the 9-year-old granddaughter, but this one is too big for her. This one, like I said, it fits the adults, or maybe even a young teenager or preteen or something. But and let me show you. See if that's in the middle. So there, it fits me like this. So now this one has the pieces, the back pieces are much different from the child one. This is the center back on the adult, and this is the center back on the child's piece. So the pieces are a little bit smaller on the back for the child's piece. And these are different. These are just smaller. The sections are a little bit more proportionate to the size of the crown, and this one just has bigger, because it's a bigger crown, so each piece is proportionate to the actual finished crown. I thought that would be more appropriate than to have a bunch of little pieces around the edges, around the sides. So hopefully this answers quite a few of those questions that I get. These are also the same florets, and this time, because it's an adult, I just glued them on. I glued on my, I may have, actually, I think on this one, I put the beads on with just a floret in my hand, and then I glued the 2 pieces onto the crown, instead of trying to sew the bead onto the crown with the floret in place. So, however you do it is totally, fine. You're supposed to get creative with it. I added some little beads here, some little pearls, and they're just hung on a little jump ring, and then because of the little eyelet in front, you can hang a jump ring and hang a little cascade of beads on it. Yes.
They're wondering if you can leave pieces out to make it smaller, and would you be able to make it for an infant?
I haven't done the measuring on that. I'm not really sure what an infant size would be. On the smaller crown, you can't really leave off pieces because of the way that, because this piece right here, this and this are one section. So if you pull this off, well, if you take this one, then you'll end up with this see this piece doesn't match this piece right here. So that makes this one, I'm in the process of creating one for an infant and also American Girl, because I've had some requests for that.
And a dog.
And a dog. I think American Girl would be for a dog also. Oh my goodness. You do realize I'm one person here. I say that jokingly, but maybe not so jokingly. It's like I have a list of 1 million projects, and I'd love to do them all. I know some of you are waiting for me. Those ukulele earrings were years, literally, in the making. It took me years to finally get those completed.
Laura definitely wants the one for the puppy.
That would be cute. It would be cute. So I think on the adult one, you could leave a piece out. The only thing is that the back, if you pull out the back piece, there is no overlap, but I don't think that's a big deal. You can just put a little piece of matching lace behind it, behind the seam where they come together, and glue it together that way. And then when you put the boning in, it'll keep it together forever.
Margaret said she made one for her 1-year-old granddaughter, and it fit perfectly.
Oh, was it this one?
The smaller one, yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So this may be a little too big for an infant, but it fits a 1-year-old and it fits a 2-year-old beautifully. And as you can see, this fit the older girls on the home page, because they're both wearing the same exact crown. It's just in 2 different colors. And this one is stitched, and I don't think you can tell, but this one is stitched in metallic thread. It's not focusing. Can you make it focus?
Bring it closer.
It's kind of, they call it copper, and it looks kind of like copper from the side a little bit. It's got a rosy glow to it, but it looks, to me, it's more like a fleshy pink. I love this color. So if you're looking for to stitch in metallic thread, King Star from the mstore.com is amazing metallic thread. It's all I ever use. It was recommended years ago when I had finally given up on using metallics. Without going into all that, the details of what I did to try and make my metallics stitch out without kinking and breaking my needles. Let me tell you, all the things that you think you've tried, I tried them all, and others. I tried them all, and my metallics would still kink up on me. So I have a drawer full of different brands of metallics that I finally had just decided, I guess I just can't do it. But one of our customers recommended King Star from the M Store, and she told me you don't even have to change your 7511 needle, which is all my embroidery is done with 7511 needle. And I thought, that's really sounds too good to be true, but I'm willing to try. And man, once I got that thread in and tried it, and it was amazing. And I never changed the needle. It was true. It's always been true. And I even these stitched out at full speed. And I have a 6 needle and a 10 needle machine, full speed. And that metallic thread stitched like a dream. You can see it stitching out on my First Frost ornament, I think. And that's King Star metallic thread. So that's my story on metallic thread and the crowns. And if you guys don't have any questions, I'm gonna assume I answered them all. We thank you for watching, and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you soon.